Today we're going to show the installation of the XD Guardian Universal to a track style fixture. We'll cover both the aluminum track fixture as well as touch briefly on generic slot fixtures you may have in your store. So first off, we have our XD Guardian kit. We have our MTI retail tool. We have the device to be merchandised, and then I have a power cord. In this case, I'm showing one of our CX Flex cables. However, you can use the OEM power cable, which comes with the device you are merchandising. To start with, we'll open the box. We have our instruction guide. Please read it thoroughly and follow all the directions. We have the position itself. We've got the barrel lock key, which unlocks the upper arms. And then, we'll move this box out of the way. We have our base plate kit. For the sake of the speed of this video, the components have been pulled out of their main hardware bag, but what we have is the base plate, which bolts to the bottom of the XD Guardian unit. We have several hardware bags, and then we have several slot adapter fittings to accommodate for different widths of slots, as well as this underplate. For all mounting scenarios, you'll need the position itself, the base plate, and the small hardware bag that contains 4 small screws. To start with, we will install the base plate to the position itself, position it over the riser, and what I like to do is start by just starting each of the 4 screws just enough to align things. I don't like to tighten them down individually. We'll drop each of the 4 screws into place. Start tightening them. Again, I like to get all 4 screws started, and what this does is it allows us to make sure each screw is threaded correctly without cross-threading or putting any undue load. From there, I start tightening the 4 screws. I typically go in kind of a star pattern or crisscross pattern. This is a generally accepted practice when installing things like cover plates or engine parts, so I follow this same practice. And what this does is, again, it allows the base plate to kind of find the natural center and make sure everything is aligned. I'll do the final tighten up. The next step comes in determining your fixture type, because we have different hardware to choose from. In this small assortment, we have several different width of slot adapter plates, and they're designed to fit a variety of AT&T fixtures. In the case of the aluminum track fixture we show here, we're going to use the narrowest of the slot adapters. The other 2 styles will be used for other style slot fixtures, and at the same time, we also need to choose the method for attaching the actual position to the fixture. For that, we go to this hardware bag. The 2 short screws with the 2 small aluminum threaded pills, as we call them, go into the aluminum track fixture. The 2 long screws and then this large plate are used to attach the position to other slot style fixtures within the AT&T stores. To start with, before we go installing our slot adapter, we want to install the power cable. In this case, I'm showing one of our CX Flex power cables. However, as I alluded to at the beginning, you can use the OEM power cable included with the device. To start with, thread the power cable through the XD Guardian itself. For now, we'll just thread it part of the way, just enough to give us some slack. Now that we've routed our power cable through the XD Guardian position, we will install our choice of slot adapter. As we are installing it to the aluminum track fixture, I will take the narrowest of the 3. We'll do this. Take our 2 screws. I typically kind of pre-install them to each slot adapter as such. You'll notice there is a notch on one side. I align the notch such that it is towards the front of the position. This allows the greatest cable clearance. Now the cable is designed to be either go straight down or straight out the back. For the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to route it straight out the back, so I need to decide that right now, as I will be capturing it here. Take our MTI black handle tool, and we'll start attaching this slot adapter to the pre-tapped holes. Now, these screws don't need to be super snug. You don't want to strip out the heads, but you want to make sure they're tight enough. The next step, as we are dropping it into the fixture, is to install the screws to these pills. Now you'll notice on the pills there's little dimples on one side. You'll install these with the dimples facing up. Start by first threading the screw just a little bit to the screw, just enough that the head of the end of the screw is basically flush with the bottom of that little pill. And we'll do that on both sides real quick. So now we've pre-installed both pills with the short screws to our XD Guardian fixture. Now it is time to put it into the fixture itself. The beauty of these pills is you can simply drop the position into place, and they should go right in. They'll go all the way to the bottom, and then just in the act of twisting them, sometimes you may need to fiddle them into position, but just in the act of twisting the screw, they'll self-rotate into position and align with the actual aluminum track fixture and lock into place. And now you've installed your position. You can route your power cable to choice of power supply, whether it be your MTI alarm system or OEM power brick if you're using the OEM cable. Now that we've installed our XD Guardian universal position to our aluminum track fixture, let's merchandise the device. We're going to start by opening the top arm with our barrel key. Insert the barrel key. You'll hear a click. That's the barrel lock unlocking. And now this whole upper arm opens up. And then next we can open our arms. The arms move in unison so that the phone itself is always centered on the position. So let's grab our phone we're going to merchandise, slide it in. From there, I like to squeeze down just on these upper edges a little bit. Push down on the little tab here. This helps lock the arms and slide the phone down completely. So there is still a little bit of wiggle room, but generally the whole phone is captured. So we slide the top arm into place, and then the barrel lock, there's a couple notches, so again, like all things, you may be, depending on the size of the device, you may be between holes, so you can slide it up ever so slightly and push it in completely, and now it's locked into place. Last, once it's all merchandised, take your OEM power cable or MTI alarm cable, plug it into the device itself. And now, assuming it was hooked up to power, it's not for the sake of this video, you'd be able to charge the device as well as fully secure it. So one of the advantages of the XD Guardian Universal System is, although the position is fully locked down, it can be rotated from portrait mode to landscape mode. Simply rotate 90 degrees, which allows the device to display content, because some demo content is specifically designed for a landscape orientation. And this allows some interaction for the customer compared to being just fully locked down and rigid. Earlier we showed installation of the XD Guardian Universal to the aluminum track fixture. Now we'll show you the installation of the XD Guardian Universal to a slot style fixture. In the hardware bag you had some longer screws as well as two of the wider slot adapters, and then this undermounting plate with the short screws used for installing the slot adapters to the base plate. For the sake of this particular fixture, I think the biggest one is actually just right. So we're going to use that. This is the number 1. First, we'll need to install our power cable. In this case, I'm using ACX flex cable. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I want to route it down into the fixture. So I will route the cable like we did earlier in the video out through the front. Got a coiled cable, so I'm going to put all of it inside. Now, because I do want it to come straight down, I'm going to keep the lower portion of the power cable out towards the front of the fixture. I'm going to align with this notch also towards the front of the XG Guardian. And I will install the slot screws. Got 2 of them. These don't have to be super tight, but you want them tight enough that nothing comes loose. So now we've installed our through-hole adapter to the base plate, and we're ready to install the full system to the fixture. To do so, we'll need to gain access to the underside of the slot, and we're going to do so by pulling out this front faceplate. Not all fixtures are like this, but generally if you have access of some sort, whether it's through a front panel or a back panel, you'll want to get to the underside. So our next step is installing the position to the fixture. We've removed a panel so we can gain access to the underside of the slots. And so we'll start by taking our bottom plate, and actually first make our life a little easier there. Pop those screws in. Next, I'm going to take my position, feed the power cable through, leave a little bit of slack, and then, using my hand to support it from the underside, I'm going to install the plate. At the same time, I'm going to try to capture that power cable, make sure I'm not pinching it. Now I'm in the slot itself. Then, slowly feed this down. I'm still supporting the underside plate with my hands. And we're going to start feeding the screw into the threaded connection. It's not hard, it's just a little, it can just be a little finicky just to get lined up. And then go. We got one side started, just enough that plate doesn't drop. Get over to the other side. Make sure my screw's aligned. All right, so we've got both sides. And now I'll just draw up each one of those screws until the plate is tight. There we go. Did a little bit. I want to get this side real good. Just back it off. Make sure nothing's cross-threaded. There we go. And since you have that plastic slot adapter to locate the position in the proper spot, I kind of push forward on it, make sure it's all good and aligned, and tighten down both those positions. Now we've got the whole position in place. I'm going to slide this fixture back together so I can hide all those ugly power cables. Got our full position together. We're going to merchandise the device. We've got our device, we've got the power cable we ran earlier. Pull it out a little bit, and I've got the key to the barrel lock. Insert the barrel lock key, heard a click, now it's unlocked. We can now open up the upper arm and open up the lower arms. So these lower arms are geared so they actually move in unison with each other, which keeps the device centered horizontally. So take your device, make sure the power connector side is facing down, slide it in, squeeze down in this upper portion of the bracket. As you slide it down, you can use the phone to press down or use your finger to press down on the little tab, which this generally locks the arms in place. The side arms, that is. Now, take your upper arm, slide it down, and we're going to lock it with the barrel key. You may have to jiggle it a little bit to find the right little slot. Now, you've secured the device. So the device is a little wiggly in there depending on the size and depending on how it lines up with the with the gears and the alignment teeth, but generally we've got a device that can't be taken out. I can't flex it out or anything. The other advantage of the XD Guardian Universal is we can rotate from portrait to landscape mode very easily. So some demo content is required to be in a landscape mode. Sometimes it's in a portrait mode, or customers just want to see how the phone reacts. So we'll put it back to landscape mode, plug in our power cable, and if the other end of the cable, which for the sake of this video is not, but if it is plugged into a security system or OEM power brick, it would be providing power to the camera.